First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the bishops and elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and a mighty shalom to all the brothers and prophets and everyone teaching and magnifying the name of Yahweh, Bahashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai, in truth and sincerity. And to the sincere sheep, continue to learn, hearken, and study to show thyself approved. Today's lesson is going to be titled Marriage Supper of the Lamb. It's probably not going to be as beautifying and so theatrical as how this current world perceives marriages and ceremonies as to such. As we'll go into the scriptures, I'll try to paint a picture for you of what the Lord's Supper actually looks like and how it's being prepared through the spirit of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. First chapter we're going to go into is Matthew chapter 22, and we'll go through it to start painting the context of this understanding. And it reads, "And Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables." Now this is written in a parable. You need the understanding to actually decipher what is being said by the spirit of Hamashiach. Right here. "The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come." So in this particular context right here, you can see that the Most High has prepared a marriage for his son, the prodigal son, to come back, and sent forth messengers, sent forth prophets, sent forth teachers, sent out those that the Most High has granted this understanding to teach those to bid them back into the marriage supper of the Lamb. Verse 4, "Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner. Many are called, few are chosen. Behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage." Judgment is already being set. "But they made light of it, and went their own ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them." Verse 7, "But the king heard thereof. He was wroth, and he sent forth his armies." So you can see how the story is starting to change. He sent forth fishers, and now he's going to send forth hunters, right? "But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burnt up their city." Verse 8, "Then said he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid them to the marriage." So right here, the Most High is telling his servants, now go out to the highways and hedges and bid them to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Isaiah 58:1, "Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and show my people their transgressions." The prophets are out there on the corners, on the highways and hedges, day in and day out, pushing this doctrine and magnifying the name of Yahweh Shai. And the people still are not hearkening. They're pulling away the shoulder, and they're going back into deep slumber, and they just disregard everything that is being said. Verse 9, "Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage." So those servants went out into the highways and gathered into the highways. And those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests, right? Because the Most High has prepared a feast for his sons and his daughters, those who are hearkening and want to partake in this glorious feast, this ceremony. "And when the king came in to see the guest, he saw there was a man which not on a wedding garment." I'm gonna do that again. Matthew 22:11. "And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there was a man which not on a wedding garment. So there's a feast prepared for his guests, and there's someone sitting there that is not wearing the appropriate attire. He spotted them just like that. Easy, right? Verse 12. And he saw, and he saith unto him, Friend, how comest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Speechless. He didn't know what to say. He didn't have the oil. He was speechless. That wedding garment, we're going to briefly touch on that, add some precepts into it, and get back to painting the picture of what the marriage supper of the Lamb is. We'll jump into Revelation 3 real quick, just to get some edification on what the wedding garment is. Revelation 3. Four and 5. Revelation 3, verse 4 and 5. We'll just touch on that real quick, just to highlight the wedding garment. Because he says, how did you come in here to this wedding feast and you're not wearing the wedding garment? He says, Thou hast a few names, even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. And I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before the Father and before the angels. Verse 5 again, he that overcometh. How do you overcometh? Revelation 3 and 10. Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, you overcometh. I will always keep thee from the hour of temptation. I will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. That patience, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. What is that patience? Revelation 14 and 12. Revelation 14 and 12. It says, Here is the patience of the saints that are, here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahweh Shai. You need to have that wedding garment on of righteousness, white raiment, fine linen, keeping the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, right? That's the wedding garments. And keeping the commandments, right? What does that do? The garments, the righteous garments. I don't want to get into this too deep, but Deuteronomy 6 and 25 defines what the righteousness is. Deuteronomy 6 and 25. Real quick. Deuteronomy 6 and 25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our Elohim, as he hath commanded us. So you have to participate in understanding how to rehearse and observe the commands found in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, in order to continue to put on these righteous garments to be washed and be made clean, because you have the stench of the world in Babylon on you. You need to put on the mindset of Hamashiach, so that way you can get into these scriptures and understand and heap up to you wise men having this understanding, so you can be edified as well. Verse 13. Then said the king, Matthew 22 and verse 13. And then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him out, and cast him into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. They picked him up out that seat because he wasn't wearing the righteous garments. You're spotted. You're out of here. You're coming in the name of a whole different deity. You're singing a different song, a different tune that doesn't match the doctrine. You're going to be spotted out, and you're going to be blotted out. Matthew 22. And this chapter here, it correlates with Luke 14. I don't think I'm going to go into Luke 14, but I just want to continue to briefly highlight and start painting the picture of the marriage supper of the Lamb. So in this verse here, in this chapter here, you see how Hamashiach, the Most High, through Hamashiach, is bidding the servants to call them back into the marriage supper of the Lamb, right? Those sheep that were scattered. Now he's calling them back into the marriage supper of the Lamb. Next book we'll go into is found in Zephaniah. Zephaniah, verse 7 and 8 reads, hold thy peace at the presence of Yahweh Elohim, for the day for the day of Yahweh is at hand. For Yahweh hath prepared a sacrifice, and he hath bid his guests, right here, plain upon tables. He says he hath prepared a sacrifice. Verse 8, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh sacrifice, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such are clothed in strange apparel. If you're not wearing the right garments, the right apparel, you're going to be tossed out into the outer darkness, where there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And those wedding garments are those fine white linens that we read about in Revelation chapter 14, which correlates with Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 25 of what righteousness is, considering to what the Most High considers it, right? So the garments, you got to continue to put on righteousness, right? Study to show thyself approved. Study quietly. Sit quietly and learn. Don't grab a few verses, think you're standing on some foundation, run up to the front of the line. You could be casting out a bunch of stumbling blocks and screwing everybody's understanding up, especially those that are continuing to wake up. You know, our people have been in deep slumber for a long time, and to stand up on your feet and start singing this song, you don't want to be accountable for giving someone the wrong understanding and slowing the progress of their walk up, right? Because the feast is prepared, the feast is ready. So that was Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 7 and 8. Next book we're going to go into is found in Ezekiel. We're building our foundation, we're building our understanding on what the marriage supper of the Lamb is, correlating to what the Most High has already written, right? What has been done in the past will be done again. It's cyclical. It's twofold. All this is twofold. You can say, oh, this was done to the children of Israel and da-da-da, but the curses are now being reversed. The blessings will be put on those that are wearing those wedding garments, and those that are continue to walk in darkness of sin and heap up sin upon sin. Well, let's continue to see what this feast, what's on the table. What's on the table at this feast? Sorry. Ezekiel 39. We'll start at verse 17 to verse 20, and it reads, and thou, son of man, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves, and come, gather yourselves on every side of my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you. He says, gather around the table. Gather around the table. This is the feast that I have prepared for you. Even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Yasha'Allah, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. Now, this was done to the children of Israel for transgressing the law, statutes, and commandments in the first place, which got us booted out of the land. Our forefathers got us booted out. And now we have to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. And here we're talking about how the other nations were given this great sacrifice. Now we are partaking in this ceremony, marriage ceremony. Verse 18, ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of goats, of bullocks, and all them fatlings of Bashan. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till you be drunken, of my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. Thus ye shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, saith Yahweh Elohim. Now, if you're not in the spirit and you start envisioning horse feet and limbs of men and all those on the table that he's asking you to eat the flesh and drink the blood of, then you have not really built up the understanding, and you should just continue to just listen and learn, right? Because this would sound far-fetched in one of those church establishments. You know, I can picture the kids going, ew. But the Most High is asking us to assemble ourselves around this table for this feast. Verse 17:1, he says, to gather yourselves. To gather yourselves. What that sound like? That sounds like Zephaniah chapter 2. He says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather yourselves, O nation, not desire. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the shaft, before the fierce anger of Yahweh come upon you. Before the day of Yahweh's anger come upon you. So the reason why we're bidden to go to the highways and hedges to call our people back in, the good and the bad, for them to receive this word, if they have ears to hear and eyes to see, for them to hearken and to stir up that spirit in them, that they should take this a little more seriously, because we can see that day approaching and the windows of mercies are starting to shut. So we're calling you back in to the marriage supper of the Lamb before the decree bring forth, because that day will pass as a shaft, right? Verse 3 of Zephaniah chapter 2 says, seek ye Yahweh, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yahweh's anger. So the reason why we come back to put on righteousness, to clean our garments, is so that way we also have the opportunity to be hid in the judgment, right? That blood that covers us, and have that entrance into that door that brings us everlasting life. That door is Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. We receive him, we eat his flesh, drink his blood, so we're covered by the blood. So when the angels are sent out, they pass over you because you have received Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Where are we going right now? Okay, boom, we're going to jump over to Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 14, because we're talking about that marriage supper of the Lamb was prepared, what's on the table, that feast that he's preparing for us. And we need to hearken and put on righteousness, right? So verse 14, it says, the great day of Yahweh is near. It is near and hasteneth greatly, even the voice of the day of Yahweh. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly. The day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. That don't sound like any kind of wedding that I want to participate. Look at the ones they have here. There's music playing, Luther Vandross in the background. There's a table over there with cake and people taking pictures of it. There's kids running around laughing and giggling. There's men over there sipping on whatever they're sipping on with their tuxedos and stuff, checking out the women over here and this and that. That's an Egyptian custom for real. But this is a wedding feast that the Most High is preparing for his children, right? Verse 16, a day of the trumpet, an alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. This wedding feast that he's preparing for us, he's gathering all the ingredients to have a table spread, right? I hope you're following. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. Chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, therefore, wait upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Right? So the day of the Lord, the day of Yahweh, as these judgments are going forth, he's pretty much preparing the feast table for us. This great altar, this sacrifice of goats and rams and lambs and fatlings and all kinds of things, right? This is the marriage supper of the Lamb. Because he left as a lamb, he's coming back as a roaring lion for judgment, right? We're going to go into that. Amos, next chapter, we're going to go into Amos. Amos chapter 5. Amos chapter 5. 5 and 18. It says, woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh. To what end is it for you? The day of Yahweh is darkness and not light. Right. So those who have the understanding and the ear to hear and has proclaimed this magnificent word to go out unto those that may be bidden to the marriage supper of the Lamb, it's not that we are bouncing up and down. Yay! You know, we have we have some excitement in us because we pray to be hid in the time of the Lord's wrath. because we're trying our due diligence to make our calling and election sure, to make sure that the sheep that are wanting to be fed by the Lord's pastures, receiving this word with fear, true fear and reverence. We cry out to the Most High to pour out his judging wraths, to end this wicked rulership. The society is truly defiled. It's immoral. It's truly immoral. That's verse 18. Let's jump over to real quick. Amos chapter 5:13 on down, and we'll just conclude this. Therefore the prudent shall keep silent in that time, for it is an evil time. So upon the Most High pouring out his judgments, those have been proclaiming this gospel. We're no more speaking. The famine of the words here. So if you disregard this word and you do not continue to build up this understanding, how much faith are you going to have in that day? You're going to be like the five foolish who says, oh, give to us some of your oil. Give us some of your understanding in the midst of this judgment. No. Go and buy from them, the ones that put on a beautiful show for you and music and a house of mirth, just giggling and all kind of stuff. No, this is the house of mourning, the house of faith. Because this is a mercy window that we should be sitting down and understanding and putting on, eating this food. This is the bread, the manna, the hidden manna that we need to be filling ourselves up with. I promise you. Verse 14 of Amos chapter 5. Seek good and not evil, that ye may live. And so Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, shall be with you, as ye have spoken. Hate the evil and love good, and establish judgment in the gate. It may be that Yahweh Elohim of hosts will be gracious unto the remnant of Yahweh Joseph. Verse 16. Therefore Yahweh Elohim of hosts, the mighty power, saith, wailing shall be in the streets, and they shall say in all the highways, Alas, alas. And they shall call the husbandmen to mourning, and such as are skillful of lamentation to wailing. Right? Because it's going to be a dark and terrible day. A dark and terrible day. We're going to kind of speed this up a little bit. Isaiah chapter 14. So, as we see in Matthew 22, and correlates with Luke 14, how the marriage supper of the Lamb is being prepared. And that you have to have on the righteous garments, these fine linens, before the decree go out. Seek judgment, seek meekness, seek righteousness. Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14. Either here or forbear. Isaiah chapter 14 and 21. It says, prepare slaughter for his children. Prepare slaughter, a sacrifice, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with the cities. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh Elohim, and cut off from Babylon the name of the remnant and son, and the nephew, saith Yahweh. The Most High's determination. Well, let's not jump too fast. Isaiah 34. Isaiah 34. Boom. Verse 2. Isaiah 34 and verse 2. I'm just going to grab a few precepts in this chapter here. Isaiah 34 and verse 2 says, for the indignation of Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, and hath delivered them to a slaughter. Verse 6. The sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with the fatness, and the blood of lambs and goats with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Verse 8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. So his determination is to gather all the nations for the controversy of Zion, for the nations that continue to keep us the children of Israel in bondage and subjective to the systems in which they put over us to suppress us from receiving the blessings and cursings. This is what they were put in place for. This is a place of our this place here is a place to refine us and not to destroy us, to cause us to come back to the covenant, to put on righteousness so we are not dislodging ourselves from the covenant and being destroyed like the 2/3. You know, his determination is to pour judgment upon all those other nations and to cover us, that nation that's not desired. We don't have no army. We don't have no financial prowess. We don't have any of those things. Our determination is to seek the Most High and to receive his cover. We're not going to be stockpiling a bunch of food and forming militias with guns and weapons and things like that. No, that's not bravery. That's not faith. That's not faith at all. If you truly believe and have faith in the Elohim, the God, the power that you say you do, you're not going to be looking for any substance outside of what he has prepared for you. The marriage supper of the Lamb is prepared for you to come back and take part in this feast, this great feast. Those who have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, it's not a small thing. It's not a small thing at all. Revelation chapter 19. We'll close it out with Revelation chapter 19. And maybe I'll grab one more, I don't know. Revelation chapter 19. Revelation chapter 19 and 17. Verse 19 and 17. 19, verse 19, 17 and 18. Okay, here it is. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the great supper of Yahweh Elohim, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and all them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. So before the day of the Lord comes to full fruition and this prophecy come to pass, we want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to make our calling election sure, and study to show ourselves approved, and seek those with the wisdom, seek the prophets of old that are now standing on their 2 feet, bidding our people to come back and to learn and to continue to cry out and pray for all the abominations that are done in, so you can receive that mark of exemption, that seal above your forehead. And as you can see that the Lord is preparing this feast, it kind of correlates with the Passover, right? The Passover. I'm gonna just grab one more real quick. It's 28 minutes in. Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12 and 11. And it says, and thus shall you eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. So we have to eat this word in haste, right? Because it's only for a period of time that you can receive this understanding until the famine of the word is in full swing. And then you can't eat it in haste anymore, because whatever you have ingested as that hidden manna from heaven, that's what you have to go on, your limited understanding. And I pray that you are girded, and you have your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. That's wearing the righteous garments, because you should not resemble what this world is doing. You should not be anywhere near it. Exodus chapter 12 and 27, it says, and ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians. When he smote the Egyptians. So there's a difference between those that he's going to preserve and those that he's going to destroy for their wickedness. These Egyptians, these other nations that kept the children of Israel in bondage, and our people who continue to sup from their table, those wickedness and those abominations, and deliver our houses. And the people bowed the head and worshipped. Right now we're bowing and worshiping. And again, this lesson here is titled Marriage Supper of the Lamb. And I prayed that these words were edifying in the name of Yahweh Shai, that you receive them and you see the contrast of what a worldly marriage looks like compared to what the Most High's marriage supper of the Lamb really looks like. And I pray that this was edifying in the name of Yahweh Shai. Until the next video, Shalom.